Please be seated. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. All things came into being through him. Before there was weather or history or memory, before there were names for love or fear or longing, there was God's own self speaking creation into life. Life emerged, light took root. The world itself unfolded as an expression of God's desire to share being, beauty, and breath. John then gives us the sentence that changed everything. And the Word became flesh and lived among us. Christmas now continues with this confession about the nature of reality. The God who creates the world chooses the world as God's dwelling place. God's way of being is closeness. God's way of loving is presence. John tells us that the Word lived or dwelt among us, a word that carries the memory of Israel's wilderness stories, when God pitched a tent among the people, moving with them through the long road of becoming. That holy presence, once glimpsed in cloud and fire, now takes on human skin. The eternal steps into time. The holy enters the neighborhood of ordinary life. This is not an image of the Spirit hovering over the waters in the Genesis creation story, though it's related. This is a vision of God choosing life within this world. And because of that, everything about human life is altered. Bodies become sacred. Relationships become holy ground. Ordinary seasons can carry divine meaning. Creation itself becomes the place where God's life is continually revealed. This is the deep grammar of incarnation, the very way that we talk about God. God's breath inside our breath. God's dwelling within creation. The poetry of John's Gospel meets us at a threshold. One scholar calls this prologue a threshold poem. It's a text about crossing over into becoming. Something has shifted in the world, and something has shifted in us. Before the birth of Jesus, we knew God and worshiped God. But now our knowing is different, and our worship can never be the same. Christmastide, this is a season of settling in, living with the mystery, learning its contours, discovering how life is reshaped when God chooses to make a home within us. We stand on the edge of the new creation, already held inside its promise. I see this vision sung with extraordinary beauty in the hymn this congregation has lifted up this season as our most beloved Christmas hymn, In the Bleak Midwinter. We'll sing it together in just a few minutes as our offertory hymn. I confess this is one of my absolute favorite Christmas hymns. And I love that in our congregation's voting on Christmas hymns, I now know it is also one of your favorites. Christina Rossetti's words proclaim the same wonder that John announces. Earth becomes the heavenly meeting place. A stable becomes the dwelling of the eternal. The fragile receives the infinite. Love arrives quietly and makes it its home. In the bleak midwinter, when the world seems stripped to its bones, heaven bends low and chooses to remain. The congregation, in voting this hymn to the top of the list, we are offering our own confession of our faith together. God's presence unfolds inside the ordinary, the vulnerable, the real. Night and darkness is real, but the light comes, the word comes into our world. Paul carries that same vision into the language of human belonging in his letter to Galatians. But when the fullness of time had come, he writes, God sent the Son, born of a woman. Divinity enters history through the rhythms of human life. And from that gift flows a new way of being together. Belonging, inheritance, shared life. The Spirit now breathes within human hearts, shaping trust and intimacy, teaching us to speak the language of love. Paul says, Abba, Father. This is the movement of the gospel. Creation is God's home, and human lives become the place where that home is known. In a quieter way, I experienced this truth here at St. Aidan's. I have found that a curacy of a new priest is a season of shared dwelling, a time of learning and serving together inside the larger life that God is unfolding. It has been a threshold space for me, rooted and temporary, stable and spacious all at the same time. Over the last few years, I have seen God's presence take shape in your prayers, your courage, your care for one another. I have watched this community practice faith as trust and as relationship. And I thank you. I thank you for forming me and my ministry. I thank you for teaching me so much. And pushing me to stretch myself and my capacities. Our shared life belongs to the much larger story that John is telling. John's gospel dares us to see this story as nothing less than the beginning of new creation. The Word who brought the world into being now reshapes it from within. In that unfolding work, the church, we become a sign, a living sign of what God is bringing into life. Grace upon grace, already moving among us. And that story continues. This congregation, I can attest, this congregation lives as a people shaped by divine presence. Our future unfolds inside God's abiding love. Your shared work, your worship, your hope, your love for one another all take place inside the dwelling of God. The Word became flesh and lived among us. That home remains. God's Spirit continues to breathe through this people. We are held within the life of the one who has chosen to dwell within creation. May God's love keep unfolding in this time and in this place. Amen.